No two teams have played one another more often than the Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears. And while both organizations share a mutual respect for one another, when these two teams face off, there's no love lost. Both the Chicago Bears and Green Bay Packers were founded in 1919 and were early members of the American Professional Football Association, now known as the National Football League. The Chicago Bears, originally the Decatur Staleys, participated in the inaugural APFA season in 1920 and hired George Halas to oversee the team. The organization moved to Chicago in 1921 and became the Bears in 1922. The Bears are one of two original teams remaining in today's NFL. The Green Bay Packers, founded by Curly Lambeau in 1919, were one of many pro football teams throughout the state of Wisconsin, but the cream rose to the top, and in the early 1920s, the Packers were invited to join the APFA in its second year of existence.
George Halas actually went out of his way to help preserve the Packers in Green Bay. He would make trips to Green Bay and tell people, hey, it's really important the NFL stay in Green Bay because once you lose the Packers, you're not going to get them back.
Enter coach Vince Lombardi, a hard-nosed but well-respected leader. Creator of the famous Packers sweep and notorious quotes, Lombardi would lead the Packers, along with Bart Starr, to multiple championships. The Packers would dominate the Bears during the Lombardi era, going 15-5 and winning 5 NFL championships through the 1960s, including Super Bowls I and II.
Chester Marco's improbable game-winning touchdown.
It's blocked. Taken by Marco. Chester Marco takes it in.
It was my first weekend at college at UW Oshkosh, and we were watching that game on television, and Lindsey Nelson was the announcer on CBS, screaming Chester Marco's name over and over again. That was certainly a memorable game in Packers-Bears history.
The Bears would handle the Packers and the NFL in the 1980s and early 90s, with greats like Walter Payton, Mike Singletary, William the Refrigerator Perry, and head coach Mike Ditka. The Bears would win their first Super Bowl in 1985. They became pop culture darlings with their Super Bowl Shuffle music video and SNL superfan skits.
I have to go back to the 87 Bears-Packer game when the Packers thought they won, and McMahon brought up back down the field. We kicked the field goal and broke all the Packer fans' heart because they thought they finally beat the 85 Bears, and they didn't.
Don, the Magic Man Mikowski, threw a touchdown to Sterling Sharp as time expired, but the officials had thrown a flag for an illegal forward pass, thinking Magic Man had passed the line of scrimmage prior to releasing the ball. But after an official review, the touchdown call was upheld and Green Bay went crazy. After the 1991 season, Packers' new GM, Ron Wolf, fired head coach Lindy Infante and hired Mike Holmgren, the former quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator from the San Francisco 49ers. Early in the 92 season, the Packers lost their starting quarterback Don Mikowski during a home game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Newly acquired second-string quarterback Brett Favre entered the game and played terribly, before leading the Packers to a dramatic late-game touchdown to win the game.
a great call that is by Mike Holmgren.
In 1996, a year after throwing the longest touchdown in NFL history, Favre and Holmgren would lead the Packers to their first Super Bowl appearance since 1968. Ending their 29-year drought, the Packers continued their success into 1997 by making their second consecutive Super Bowl appearance. The Packers looked like the NFL's next dynasty. But differences between Coach Holmgren and GM Ron Wolf would lead to Holmgren's departure to Seattle after the 1998 season. In 2004, the Bears hired head coach Lovie Smith. At his introductory press conference, Smith said his number one goal is to beat the Green Bay Packers. The Packers would win 11 of 19 matchups against the Bears during Smith's tenure, but it was the Bears who had the postseason success. Led by Coach Smith, linebacker Brian Urlacher, and return specialist Devin Hester, the Bears once again found themselves relevant.
Second longest active streak. Ryan's punt. Devin Hester from the 16. Looking for lane, he's got one. Watch out here. If he gets a couple of blocks, he's gone. Devin Hester, the rookie from Miami. Touchdown!
For the first time since their dominating 1985 season, the Bears reached the Super Bowl. The celebration was short-lived, as the Bears would lose 29-17. The 2007 season would be Green Bay's turn for heartbreak, as the Packers would lose the NFC Championship at Lambeau Field to the New York Giants. After the 2007 loss, quarterback Brett Favre announced his tearful retirement, and for the first time since 1992, a new quarterback would lead the green and gold. Aaron Rodgers would prove to be primed for greatness in the NFL, and in 2010, for the first time in their historic rivalry, the two foes would meet in the NFC Championship game.
They've never played a more important game than the 2010 NFC Championship game. But to me, you look at the whole history of Packers and Bears, there's never been a game bigger than that one.
The Packers would take an early 7-0 lead on a Rodgers scramble to the pylon. Looking to add to their lead, Rodgers would throw an interception deep in the red zone to Brian Urlacher. The Bears had the ball halfway through the fourth quarter when Packers defensive end B.J. Raji intercepted quarterback Caleb Haney and returned it for a score. Haney kept the game close, finding Earl Bennett for a late touchdown. The 2010 NFC Championship game would turn out to be another iconic chapter in the storied rivalry, coming down to the final minute.
What I remember most about that game was that at Soldier Field, they had mounted police on horseback in case the Bears had won to kind of keep the crowds away. Well, the Packers won. So we're waiting to go in the locker room afterwards, and I see the horses going the other way, and all I can see is their behinds. And that's what I remember about that game. The horses were not needed that night.
The Bears could only watch as Aaron Rodgers and the Packers would go on to defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers 31-25 in Super Bowl XLV.
NFC Championship game in Soldier Field, obviously, Bears-Packers. That was a big game. We were able to go and get Super Bowl 45 for that. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Rodgers gets out, floats it, Cobb! Touchdown, Randall Cobb!
Having grown up in Wisconsin, Packers fans hated the Bears, and I understand that venom, and I certainly felt that growing up. You go to like a Racine or a Kenosha or a Janesville, I mean, it's just rabid down there because it's not all Packers fans and it's not all Bears fans. So you have this split, and it's quite emotional.
Bears still suck! Bears still suck!
Items prohibited. Packer fans have always been great. You know, it's the rivalry's always been really close. Both teams have had good runs where they were better than each other, but I think it's a friendly, fun rivalry.
No, this is a great community, great tailgating, great atmosphere. Everybody's been super friendly. This is fantastic. It is.
So who's going to win tonight?
I have to say probably the Packers.
Oh, definitely the boys in green and gold, no question.
I'm hoping that Rodgers has kind of been iffy, so I'm kind of hoping we can pull it out. But
Woo! Go back, go!
Go Bears!
Who's going to win the tie-breaking Bears game tonight?
Oh, Bears for sure. Bears for sure.
The Bears 77, Green Bay 3.
So who's going to win tonight?
The Bears. They're gonna do well right until kickoff. Packers number 95. Go Green Bay. Go back. Go.
The tie-breaking game would be like any other Packers-Bears game, with a Danny Trevathan delivering a brutal hit on Devontae Adams. The Packers wouldn't miss a beat, with Rodgers finding Jordy Nelson for a third-quarter touchdown. Bears quarterback Mike Glennon committed 4 turnovers in what would turn out to be a Packers blow-up victory.
I didn't love it. I love the atmosphere, not so much the outcome.
I don't feel good about it. I knew we were going to get our butts kicked, but I didn't think it was going to be that quick, that early. 4 turnovers for Glennon, so it wasn't pretty, but this is the Packers' time. Hopefully 4 or 5 years, we'll catch back up.
You know, the Bears still suck. They've always sucked, and they always will suck till the end of time.
Can win the next one
at Soldier Field?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's very likely that we will. You know, we've been Bear fans for 50 years, and my son, I think, was born in a cigar box and left at the stoop, so I felt bad for him. That's how he ended up being a Packer fan.